Hi everyone, it's Evangeline right here at eTrailer. Today we have the Hollywood Racks destination for Bike Rack, and we're seeing how well it fits our 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. This bike rack is really popular because it's very lightweight and easy to store while still allowing you to carry up to 4 bikes. So if you have your Grand Wagoneer filled with your friends and family and a lot of you want to go for a bike ride, this might be an option for you. But depending on the types of bikes you have as well as the features you may expect, it also might not be the best fit. So let's go talk about that. This rack is great if you have standard mountain bikes, road bikes, or your little kids' bikes. It's really good when it comes to versatility with how it holds onto the bike. However, it does have a 35-pound maximum weight capacity per bike. So if you have heavy electric bikes, maybe not the best fit. Also, this bike rack does not tilt away. So if you need to access or open up your rear hatch on your Grand Wagoneer, you would actually have to take the bikes off to get access to that, which can be a hassle compared to other bike racks that swing away or tilt away. But if you are able to access all your stuff from inside the vehicle and you're not concerned about losing out on that hatch access, this still may be a solid option for your bikes. This rack allows for a lot of versatility for different types of bikes, especially with children's bikes, and that's because of the frame mount. So this has a short frame mount where you have a cradle that can go up and down, twist around to accommodate for different types of frames. So we even had a little toddler's bike fit up here. But while that holds onto the center of the bike, you also have 2 other touch points by the front and the rear wheel where you have these straps, and these just secure down on those rims. As for loading and unloading the bikes though, that's where it gets a little tricky because on the Jeep Grand Wagoneer, the hitch is pretty high up. You can see that if I had to lift a very heavy bike, fortunately again, the weight capacity is up to 35 pounds, then this is pretty high up that I have to go. Again, mostly felt when you have to reach across the bike rack in order to get your bikes. Now, this is still a very easy thing for a lot of people. It's just for me, I don't like having to reach over as far. Now, another thing before I take this bike off is talking about clearances from the bike to the car. Now, I have some pretty long mountain bike handles here. From center all the way out, it's about 14.5 inches, and I have another 4 inches of space before I would make contact with the window. So really good fit here for handlebars. I'm not concerned about clearance issues with pedals or handlebars unless you have a very unique handlebar length. So all good points there. Now I did take off the front and rear wheel straps. So from this point onwards, you can see how I would take this bike out. I hold the bike with one hand as I release the strap with my thumb and other hand. I then roll the bike past that frame mount, and then from here I can lift up and over. So compared to other racks where they have frame mounts that take up a lot of room above the bike rack, this does make it a little bit easier here for the Grand Wagoneer. So how much height and ground clearance are we talking about? Well, if you measure from the end of the bike rack down to the ground, that is 28 inches. And then from the center of the rack to the ground, 32 inches. So that's a lot of height that we are dealing with. Now, that is partially because the bike rack does kind of angle upwards to give better ground clearance on vehicles that don't have any. But here on the Grand Wagoneer, definitely overkill. Now the length this does add though is on the more compact side. And that is because if you measure from we'll do the end of the hitch here, because that's the same distance as the bumper, to the end of the bike rack, we're gonna be at around 42 inches of length. So while that sounds like a lot, when you compare this to other 4 bike racks, this is actually on the more compact side. So if you struggle with finding enough clearance in order to park, maybe your garage is small or your parking spots are small, and you already have to deal with taking up so much room with the Wagoneer L, this is going to be your best bet at conserving that space and still having a platform rack. This rack does fold up to be even more compact, but to do that we first need to lower the masts. Now this is a process of loosening this knob here and moving that brace down. And if you were to set your bike rack up, you just do that but in reverse. Once that is clear, you can then lower your entire mast down to whichever side you prefer. And from this point, you can either use the straps for the bike rack or use one of the wheel straps to secure that mast in the down position. So yeah, a little bit more, I could say, movement or steps compared to other more premium racks, but that is again the price that you would pay for a lower price as well as a more compact rack. And then now from this bike rack, you would then go in towards the shank in order to fold your rack up. There's a bolt as well as a clip holding this in. So you're going to loosen that bolt all the way until you can remove it from the rack, and we're just going to let that hang. And then all you need to do is fold this up, line up the holes, and thread that bolt back in. And before you drive away, double check that that bolt is tight and secure and that you've reinserted that safety clip. Looking at the shank, this has a 2-inch shank that fits into your Grand Wagoneer L's 2-inch receiver. You also have a bolt that uses a 3/4-inch wrench in order to tighten down. What I actually do is I keep around a spare socket and wrench. You can find this available here at etrailer, just to always check that this is secure before I drive away. Much easier to use compared to the stamp wrench included. On the other side, you do have a lock and key, and this is where it gets a little tricky because you also have your wiring brackets for towing. So the space is a little limited, but I still recommend inserting your bolt this way because you do just have this space for the included lock. You do have to fiddle around with it, but it will work. And if you don't want to lock this with your included lock, well, you also have the option of just using a clip instead. Overall, everything has been a great fit. Even in the folded up position, we still have 6 inches away from the closest point of the bike rack to the vehicle. So if you are looking for a compact, easy to lift and install bike rack, as well as something that's easy to store in your garage when not in use, this is going to be a great option. However, if you do have heavier bikes, then this might not be the best fit for you. So an alternative there that I then recommend to other people that have that situation is the Benton Shifts and Grins. That is a 2+2 bike rack with a pretty good weight capacity all around. And it's super easy to convert that from a 2 bike to a 4 bike and then back down if you are a person that only sometimes carries around more than 2 bikes. That one is something that can also tilt away and is at a pretty decent price point. The main downside to that compared to the destination though is the Benton Shifts and Grins rack is pretty heavy. Doable when you put it together in pieces, but still not something that's as easy to lift and install as a Destination 4. So definitely pros and cons to every rack. Here for the Jeep Grand Wagoneer L though, the Destination 4 is a very popular rack because it is so compact and works great for most types of bikes. You saw it right here at eTrailer. This was a look at the Hollywood Rack's Destination 4 on the 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L.